Hey tennis players, thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to give you my 3 most important tips for moving better on the baseline. The first one you've probably heard before, but the other 2 I think might shed some more in-depth light on movement. The first one is just use a crossover step when recovering back. It's really important that you don't initially try to shuffle. When you cross over, you're simply just going to cover more room with your first step. Sometimes we get so programmed to shuffle to stay on balance that we forget when the ball's in the air, your opponent really can't do anything. So anytime you can cross over or turn and even run, obviously you're going to cover way more ground than shuffling. Hopefully just rallying cross courts is a big part of your training routine, and that's a good time to practice it. Remember, when you hit wide, when you're doing cross courts, you still want to pretend like your opponent could go down the line, and you can practice that big crossover step at the beginning to get back in position. Now the caveat to that is, obviously when your opponent's about to strike the ball, you do want to square your feet up or begin to shuffle, even if you don't get in full position, because you're going to have to make a direction change. So if you've been subscribed to the channel, and if you haven't, why not? Please subscribe, please like the video. You know that we talk about a lot of little things that can end up making a big difference. This next one is one of those things. I want you to try to think back when you were a beginner in tennis, or maybe when you've watched beginner tennis. You know how you'll see someone come into the court, hit a ball, and then put their arms down by their side and kind of stare at it and see what's going to happen? Well, there's a degree of that that actually stays in players well into their advanced tennis years. When you're trying to get in and out of corners, try to become really aware of how much time you spend observing after you hit your ball before you take action. This is what I call observed recovery, and you don't want to do that. What you want to do is assume recovery. You see, regardless of what happens with that next ball, being outside of the court just isn't going to help you. You want to start getting back as far as you can with crossover steps and eventually shuffle steps as soon as you can. As a side note, this also happens on approach shots. When you hit that ball and you know you might have a follow-up volley, don't try to sneak in. Just go to where you're in the best position to win the point. The last one, when you're out wide hitting a ball, I want you to become more aware of and try to better control your center of gravity. Yeah, there's going to be times where you're on the dead run and you kind of have to just go for broke and acknowledge that you're going to have to overrun that ball. But I see players do this just when going out to hit a standard wide ball. This is one of the problems with playing in the rhythm or becoming entrained with the ball. The goal isn't to arrive as the ball arrives. The goal is to beat the ball to the bounce, take little steps, arrive earlier so you can have more control of your center of gravity. So as opposed to your center of gravity leaning to the outside of the body where it's going to take longer for you to get it back even, you land with a neutral center of gravity and you're able to push off and recover back earlier. So just getting to the ball really isn't good enough. You really need to strive to arrive to the ball before you have to, because those valuable fractions of a second you save make a huge difference in the fast-paced game of tennis. This is where those fast-paced drills without a ball, where you're just practicing going out, hitting and recovering back as fast as you can really pay dividends. Do me a favor, comment below which of these 3 aspects, if any, you think you can improve in your game. I truly appreciate you tuning in for the video. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.